Hey guys, we have a very special episode today where we get to do an interview with our
Mr.
Kieron Gillen. Kieron Gillen.
That has done stuff that we love, like Wicked and Divine, Phonogram.
Die. No, I'm asking you to die.
That's a shit joke.
So,
But also, just tell them a bit more.
power fantasy,
Marvel stuff.
Marvel,
Loki.
Star Wars, Loki,
Star
Journey
Wars.
into Mystery,
Yeah.
lots of really good stuff. We hope you enjoy this interview as much as we did.
Let's go. First question is, what is a Kieron Gillen?
What is a Kieron Gillen? An increasingly obsolete question in that kind of way. Kieron Gillen's closest to the grave, therefore irrelevant and doomed, like us all. Yeah. I just turned 50, which is amazing, in that kind of like, not a number I would ever feel connected to my name. So I've been genuinely doing some heart rending in terms of like, who is Kieron Gillen? But, you know, I'll let you know when I know.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Did you do anything
It
special?
was fun, actually. Yeah. We were in do you know Centre Parks?
No.
Centre
No.
Parks is this weird, like, my wife Chrissy said, should we do Centre Parks? And I've never done it. It's like Butlins, which is like a holiday camp, but slightly more middle class, and with a sort of outdoorsy theme. So I'm wandering around looking like I do in this ridiculous place. I thought it's quite fun. You know, what wouldn't I normally do? Let's do this.
Yeah, nice. Hey, 50, you got to do different.
And I got this fidget spinner, which is awesome. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, what do you get a 50-year-old? They've already got everything that they want.
Exactly. And I'll do anything. Take things away from me would be actually an amazing present.
Here at Comics Etc., we sell Image comics by the dozens every single day. And we have 5 titles we kind of consider to be essential Image comics. You got Saga, Walking Dead, Invincible, Department of Truth, and Die.
Yeah.
We can sell Die till the end of time. It's incredibly good. It's incredibly well written. The artwork's phenomenal. And thank you, because the premise is actually really easy to sell. We just say Jumanji for adults. And it works.
My 2 word is Goth Jumanji is what my normal word pitch is. So, you know, it's cut to the chase.
So sell it to us. So for those morons who haven't read it yet, what is Die about?
It's Goth Jumanji. Goth Jumanji is the logical collision between Stephen King's It and the 1980s D&D cartoon. It's about, and not like the stuff with the kids, stuff with the adults, the stuff about the idea they were haunted, they had a traumatic experience when they were younger, and they get together years after the fact to sort of go back to where they were before. So it's about a haunted role-playing game. So basically a group of people gather around, get taken to a fantasy world, which is like a classic, it's a classic trope. It's kind of actually the plot of the original RPG. If you go all the way back to the original game Gygax ran, actually strictly speaking, Arneson, it was that plot. So it's all the way right at the back of the beginning of the hobby, but we take it unusually seriously. So it's all about basically comparing their teenage fantasies, who they thought they were going to be, with their adult realities. And it's kind of one of the great joys of the comic is no matter where your life goes, you have regrets. And it's a comic kind of about that. So it's basically all that kind of big grown-up stuff with an added metaphor of fantasy put on the top. Voila, Goth Jumanji. It's late.
Perfect.
Does that work?
It's a real
I feel
game.
that's a wider pitch than usual. And the game as well.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that me and Seth, I wrote the game like entirely alongside the comic at the same time. So they're very much sister projects. And the whole kind of idea was take it home and do it yourself. It's kind of like, if you want to know how me and Stephanie did Die, you read the RPG, you can kind of do your own Die at home. And that's kind of what the game does. It won an Origin Award, which was really nice. People are playing it, seem to like it. I'm really very proud of it, to be honest.
I always hated role-playing games. Now, my mother growing up...
Good start.
Yeah, I know. My mother...
Yeah, I'm about to say, why is that? I want to know why. I want to know the
actually,
details.
so my mother was a very firm believer in all of the 1980s tropes about Dungeons and Dragons will make your kids satanic.
Evil, yeah.
Yeah.
That I was like, you're never playing that. So I grew up my entire life just not getting into RPGs at all. And so I was really reluctant to read the book because I'm like, I don't know anything about this crap. I hate this stuff. First issue, I was sold. So you managed to convert me. We mentioned on a previous video that I would like to play your game. He had no interest in it. So how did you get him to play the game?
Right. You have to start to play it. The interesting thing about it's available in a beautiful quick start edition, which is easily orderable alongside Die Loaded. My first Die answer was a little bit kind of wishy-washy. Let's get really start trying to sell here. No, the thing about Die what makes it weird and what I think makes it interesting is that kind of it's about people and what like there's all the kind of rules about the game, but really it's about a group of people. Die lets you make these people, ask you questions. Who are these people? What did they love? Why they don't have it anymore? Where's their life gone desperately wrong? And you take that and you throw them in an adventure, and this fantasy world throws all their shit back at them. So suddenly it's like, oh no, I've got daddy issues, and now here's my daddy looking like a dragon, and I'm going to fight my daddy issues. That's the cheap version. That's kind of it. It's a game about the way the structure works, and it works really well for what you create messed up people, or like just not even messed up, just sad and human people. Not even sad, just people. You put them in a place where their successes and failings and all the mistakes come back at them, and you reach a catharsis, and that's the game. And it's one of the things that, on one level, people say, oh, it's not a very is it an assessment? It's about RPGs. So it's an RPG about RPGs. You sit down literally and play. You make your people, then you sit down and make those people. It's really meta. But on the other hand, it's really accessible. That's the funny thing about Die. It's that, you've never been to Middle Earth. Like, you don't know anything about elves.
Wow.
You've been like a guy. You've been a person in a shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and the game structure is basically you make up normal people, then you drop them in a fantasy world, and it's a really easy thing to role play because it's like, okay, what you don't know what. You don't know what Elrond would do when an orc comes at him, but you know what you drop in a world. It's like, what on earth is going on? And it's really accessible. People can really role play and break them in, and it's about people as well as all the fantasy tropes. It's about people, and that's the kind of magic of it. It's the kind of how the push and pull between the two, and that's where it works.
See, if it was a video game, I'd be all over that.
The advantage of a video. I used to be a video game journalist, so I played a lot of video games over the years, and then I left video games and got more to board games, and at one point I just got more to RPGs, and that's kind of where Die ended up coming from. And it just seemed to fit my life so much more because it's a social thing. You get together in a room full of people, talk, share, that kind of thing, and that's kind of what board games as well. But the idea of there's something really punk rock about RPGs. Because, like, I know this is not really a great thing to say to two people who are working in retail and someone whose job is actually making up stories, but what RPGs do is a fundamental punk rock, egalitarian thing of this is how easy it is to make stories. Imagine if you only listened to, I don't know, prog rock, and you only ever heard prog rock, and it's like, oh, I don't like music. No, you don't like prog rock. All you've ever heard is prog rock. And that's what it's like with RPGs. I wouldn't say I'm a firm believer there's a game for everyone, because that's nonsense. Who cares? But, like, there's more interesting stuff out there, which is it might be a giggle for different sorts of people. I'm ranting. Please carry on.
So basically what you're telling me, you'll be personally offended if he doesn't try playing the game with me.
No. You can't force people to do anything. That's the thing.
No, that's how
There's actually there's a really useful RPG concept called buy-in. Games require like buy-in, and that's it. It's like, as everyone at the start realise what they're going to do. We're here to do this. We're playing a horror game. We're going to play a horror game. It's going to be scary. We're going to do that. Or we're playing this camp romp. We're going to be stupid. You know what I mean? About like, you've got to want to do it. You know what I mean? If you don't want to do it, it's going to be bad. You can't force someone to do it because they'll give bad energy. And there's so much about it's like being in a band. You want everyone to want to do it.
As a huge Die fan, and I finished rereading it from beginning to end over the weekend because I've
he doesn't care.
No, he does because this is.
I do care.
Exactly. Now you ended it so well. Why bring it back? And are you going to ruin it?
Yeah, I was thinking you actually get ahead of me. I was thought, what can I do? I could ruin it.
Yes.
I could just bring it back and really just break everything everyone loved.
Yeah.
Basically, when I made up. It's funny you mentioned like you're not an RPG guy, and that you like Die really does mean a lot because it's kind of like I did a book previously called Phonogram. That was the first book I did with Jamie McKelvie, about music and magic. And for me, it's like whilst it was so deeply in music culture, I was really saying it's a bit like you don't need to know what elves are to read Lord of the Rings. I really thought it was about people's fan experiences. And I think I did a better job with Die, because Die is very much a sister book to Phonogram. It's me talking about this is why people like fantasy and RPGs, and it's about people. But you don't need to like RPGs to dig it. It's like, as long as you've got stuff to say about fantasy and games and people, this device can be reused. So it's like you can do really radically different things with it. But the same, like, there's a gap between the first and second Phonogram, because Phonogram 1 is a specific story, and the sequel shows, oh, it's also this. So the second you do a sequel, it suddenly changes what the book can be. Like, the sequel's closer together than Phonogram. It's really tricky. There's a twist, obviously. There's more stuff going on in the book, and I don't really want to say it. But the whole kind of thing was like, there's more really unanswered questions in the first volume that support a different story. And in some ways, the RPG kind of proves what else you can do with Die. Because I said, like, Die is about the people. And if you change the people going in, everything else changes. And that's a justifiable story. I'm really going to be cagey. But the first one was about how people who know each other better in a game. So like you come together like this kind of magic circle, and you walk away knowing them better. The second one is about people who know each other less well, kind of strangers. So you have no idea who this person is across the table.
Yeah,
and that's the different dynamic. It's also about cons. It's about like how gamers get together. What is a con anyway? And it's about if I give a one-line theme, it's about no one is an NPC. That's kind of what the story's about, and it's about how we treat people like objects. It's also about like there's so much empty space on the map we didn't show.
Yes.
There's like we only showed like 8 regions or something. There's a lot more of Die we wanted to show, so we should probably fill in the map.
I read the first issue of Die Loaded. Is there other twists besides the one in the first issue?
Oh well, you know, so everything's really predictable after that point. No, so like yeah, it's if anyone has read one of my comics, like there is an element of theatricality of its structure. So like there's going to be stuff to keep people reading, like you know every issue because there's a real kind of character profile, kind of portrait approach, and there's lots of really big interesting twists along the way. There's a huge one, like we've just finished issue 6, so like we're really quite ahead, which is nice.
Oh, good.
I was bad.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, like 6 issues in the can is really good. So that's like I think that's the best I've ever done. So like, to my friends in retail, you can order reliably, knowing that we actually have these comics. So yeah, 6 in the can. So like my friends have just started reading issue 6, and it's almost like you did what? So yeah, there's other stuff ahead.
Are we going to see more of a mix between the real world and the world of Die, or
this interesting? This is the question that got asked as well.
Yeah.
Not in this first bit. The first series was very much about being trapped away from the real world, and part of the horror was not knowing what's going on. And at least to begin with, we do that again. But like, there is a kind of like, depending where we get to, we might do more in the real world again. But yeah, there's it is on my mind. You never escape from the real world as well. I mean, I tell you, there's this.
Well, that's deep.
When I was writing the first issue, which you've read, it wasn't feeling like Die for some reason. I was like, oh, it's structurally sound, something's off. And then I got this 2-page sequence where the lead character's remembering seeing some foxes in her garden, you know?
Yeah.
And then suddenly felt like Die again. Because Die really has to have these staggeringly mundane slice of life moments interspersed with the, you know, dragons breathing fire. Because it's all about that kind of fantasy of reality. And that's why even if they're away from the planet, you've got to keep on calling it back. Otherwise the story breaks.
Do you write more for the single issue format, or in the back of your head you're like, all right, well, people are going to read this a lot more in the trade paperbacks?
Excuse me if I'm pretentious, but it's late and I'm very tired. Like I see myself in the tradition of Dostoevsky, you know, or like you know, so many of the great 19th century. I know it's like, so many of the great 19th century novelists were written serially in magazines. You know, like they're published. You know, they publish chapter by chapter. And it's not like anyone reads, you know, Crime and Punishment now and thinks, oh, it's a comic, you know. So you can try to aspire to serve both masters at once. You know, yeah, it's very important for me to make the singles worth buying because I'm not somebody who would naturally buy a single. You know, I'm probably more of a trade person. So like to make this, I try to make the singles really slap, but at the same time, I'm also aware that I want the trades to slap as well. Yeah. And I also want the whole 20-issue story or whatever to slap. That kind of like, you think modularly and structurally, and you think about, okay, how can we make all these things work together? And that's why it's hard.
Yeah, nice. So did you ever consider making a comic based on Yahtzee or Mousetrap?
The license is really hard to get hold of.
Do they have Mousetrap?
Yeah, do you have Mousetrap?
Yeah, we know Mousetrap. Like, you know, in fact, Mousetrap's like a classic comic setup. It's like all those kids' comics with the Rube Goldberg machine.
You got to make a comic based on Test cricket.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had Test match, didn't you?
They would.
Was it Test?
Yeah. They love cricket.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's something fun there. Like, in my head, it's becoming like a sort of sports meets Toy Story kind of setup.
So you also mentioned that it's kind of based on the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Did you ever watch Banana Man or Super Ted?
Yeah, very British. I'm old enough to remember when Banana Man debuted.
Really?
Yeah, I remember this song.
Yeah.
All right, here's a fun Australian fact, right? So every afternoon at about 5:30, the Banana Man followed by Super Ted. Postman Pat. So we would all get home from school because they only have like 4 channels. And everyone would just watch them. They were awful.
No, they weren't. I grew up on British TV, so I loved Keeping Up Appearances, Heartbeat, like all the shows my mum would watch.
I've got a 3-year-old now, so my daughter Iris, and they've got a reboot of Postman Pat.
yes.
And it's like it's still got big Postman Pat energies. So I'm sort of re-examining Postman Pat and thinking about what it says about the world. That kind of, I am being pretentious about anything, but yeah, Postman Pat it's an idyllic situation of like community, and that's a nice image to think about.
So you used to be a video game journalist. Do you still play games?
Not as much as I used to. It's like one of my theories when I was a games critic was that games are utilitarian. In terms of the games you play fill the space in your life, in that kind of like, and it's because what you need. So I did one of my favorite articles I ever did was about heartbreak games. Games you play. I interview people. What games do you play when you're heartbroken? Like, in that kind of, you got the image of somebody drinking red wine, listening to Nick Cave records. In my case, you know what I mean. And I played Planescape Torment. That was one of my heartbreak games. So I interviewed lots of people about that sort of emotional care. And that's the utilitarian purpose of games. So video games stopped filling the utilitarian purpose for me about 2013. Like, I just seemed to have less time. But that was when my dad died. I don't think it's connected to that, even though I'm aware that playing video games waiting for my dad to die was there. That might have taken the edge off it a bit. But it's because I was finding myself less spare time. I was aware that the games I love, my wife would divorce me if I played them too much.
Too long.
You know what I mean? So I ended up having to make choices. So that's that point I gravitated to board games, because what I needed was an excuse to socialise, an excuse to also drink, and also so it made more sense to sit down and see people and play a board game. But I bought a Steam Deck a few years ago, actually. Last year. In that, I kind of found myself thinking, maybe if I had a system away from the internet, I would play the games more. And I did, actually. I'm charging. I'm going to go back and play something else. But I'm not like I used to be.
As you get older, you just play a lot less video games. That's what I've discovered. So I too, a couple of years ago, got a Steam Deck, and now I'm on portables, and that's all I can play. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but that shop is poison.
Oh yeah,
Steam sale.
Yeah,
I've literally got 50 games I've never touched. It's bad.
Yeah. All right, so you've got your other title going at the moment is Power Fantasy. Wait, let me get my. I want to time you. Well, I'll time in my head. 30 seconds. Sell it to everyone.
Go.
It's really good. Buy it.
Done.
Okay, imagine there are 6 people on Earth.
Yeah.
Who have the ability. Their superpowers, a classic sort of thing. They can do anything they want. The problem is that they fight ever, the world ends. That's the story. Imagine like Watchmen with 6 Dr. Manhattans, or imagine if you and your 5 messiest mates had to basically live in a flat share, and anytime there's an argument about who's going to clean the fridge, the world might explode. That's the book. It's about basically a group of people trying to get on, and it's not like there's a lot of kind of what if superheroes are realistic books, and it's kind of in that field. But also the fundamental place is very, very different. It's about basically they're mostly good people. It's about how noxious that level of power could be. I mean, fundamentally, it's a book about fear, what power does to us, or what can do to people. And also it's a banger, to quote my earlier kind of stuff. It's the idea of like it's like a month by month pop thriller, and it's also a trade by trade pop thriller. And if you're actually reading the Power Fantasy, it I think it explains quite well my kind of theory about how books should work. As in, like, every issue has got something big in, but at the same time, the biggest thing is the end of the trade. So it's basically a really smart page turner. I mean, sort of describe it as the Watchmen meets The Good Place, which I think is a pretty good comparison. Yeah. Like, it's a philosophical but also playful book about power.
Well, see, I read the first volume and I don't know who to root for. So
that's a good question.
Perfect. It's like I see everyone's kind of angle of what they're doing. Like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? No one really. It's like
it's like that show where you put those kids in the house, and the kids have to run the house.
Oh yeah,
you remember that show?
Yeah, kind of.
They did that. I remember the UK one. It was hectic.
There was a reading group at Power Fantasy, and they did a little poll. So I set that question to them. It's like, who do you think's the good guy? And like, slightly smug smile I was doing as well. But the whole thing is like, you can graph it on a thing of who people thinks is the good guy at different points of the story, and that's kind of what I want. These are kind of people who are doing stuff for their own reasons. They embody a philosophy, but they also embody specific human beings, that they're people. Let's see what they do, and that's what the story's about. I kind of wanted a book that people can generally sit down and go, I think Etienne's right, and people go, what? And back, and it's great to see them kind of like push and pull and decide who am I more with at this point. And that's what I want. I want like a book you can engage and feel emotions for. But yeah, it's like, and it gets, issue 14 is going to press at the moment, and it's just wild. Like we're really, the pages come back. It's like all the kind of stuff we've set up is coming home to roost. So it's really fun to do.
Power fantasy reminded me of Wicked and Divine.
You know, like also like soap opera's a loaded word, but you know, it's a soap opera. It's a bit like Dai's social groups meets Wicked Divine's aesthetics meets Uber's politics.
Oh, that's right.
Is the kind of like
that you did Uber.
I've written the last 4 issues. We're literally 4 issues away from the end.
Oh,
That's the most incredibly depressing thing. Like, you know, I wrote it how many years ago now? Because I was aware that, you know, if it all sorts out, I want to have the minimum delay. Yeah. So like, I've always known how it ended. You know, usually depressing. It'd be really nice having, because it's like 47 issues in now. Jeez, it's like, I didn't really, like genuinely, yeah. It's like as long as Wictive, basically. When I finish it, it'll be 51 issues, which is what Wictive is. Yeah. So like, you know, it's the joint longest work of my career and unfinished. Desperately frustrating.
It's gotta be taking a toll. I can only read 1 volume because it is so fucked up that I cannot.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah.
I couldn't read
like,
it.
It's like, I love the idea of the superpowered, you know, like soldiers but man, that stuff gets gnarly quick.
I'm not good with gore.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get
it's an Avatar book. You know, it's a horror book, like, and it's about especially early on, like the idea I really wanted to do an unflinching kind of aesthetics of war book, as in, you know, like really kind of lean into that. And I don't think I would have gone in as hard as I did if I wrote it now. And I must admit, like, some of the stuff in the last 4 issues is horrible. Like some of the worst, like significantly worse than some of the stuff that came before. Okay, but you know, but done with a moral purpose. Of course, I made up in like 2007, 2008, and I was thinking perhaps our culture's forgetting that fascism is bad. Now, talk about like being ahead of the curve. It's like not that I think that, you know, if I finished Uber in time, it would have saved us all from this bullshit we're in. But you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what the book's about. Is me kind of like, this is a book about why it was fucking scary and petrifying to live through. I remember Fraction reading it, and at the same time I was doing Young Avengers. So the idea I was basically, 1 week I was doing Young Avengers, and next week I was writing this horrific thing at Uber. It's like, what on earth is going on in my brain? But yeah, it's like, that's comics. Yeah. It's a great joy that really in comics you can stretch in those different directions.
Yeah, you really like your god type characters.
Like, it's a useful metaphor for agency and power. Yeah. Like, I think I think it's sort of things. I'm a quite heavy fantasy writer, and like I must say, I don't see the connection to power fantasy and other books as much. Except obviously I do as well. It's called, I've just said the word fantasy. So like, I don't really see them as gods, and I try to keep them very grounded. But at the same time, you can say that with Wictive. Wictive's gods weren't very godly, mostly. You know, I find fantasy a useful way to get around. Showing people, giving people power, playing with ideas. It's also a really good way to get around research. You just make stuff up. Yeah, you know, science fiction, you have to actually know stuff. Yeah. You know, with magic, you just kind of, you know,
that's what you say.
Wobble your way through. You'll be fine.
I read Marvel books, but we like our indies. Creatively, does it feel more like you're doing a job when you're doing stuff for Marvel or one of the big companies versus your own stuff?
My job, what do you mean by that?
Well, doing your job, like, okay, so if you run at a comic store or you work at a comic store, like, because they're not your characters, like, you're still stuck in a sandbox of...
Oh, yeah, doing a job. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying there's a moral... You have to do... You know, you're not doing your job if you're not. I was thinking that you thought there was an ethical imperative to do them. Like, just doing an indie comics, it really is a job. I'm aware of, like, sort of the... You know, I probably would do this actually for like a few guys, but like the amount of times I'm awake at a certain time doing stuff, which is basically small business stuff.
Yes,
it is like doing a job. It's literally doing a job, but it's doing your job. It's you. It's your small business. Yep. So like, it's always a lot, and the kind of, especially, I mean, it doesn't have to be as hard as you make it. Like, but I always make it hard. You know, I can't find an easy way to do it. I just kind of have to do these weirdly over-obsessive books. I sort of joke about all the back matter. I'd have to do the back matter. Jason Aaron doesn't sit down and write millions of essays. And he's fine. Yeah. No, love you, Jason. I said earlier, one of the joys about comics is you can mix up in that way. Like, I couldn't do 4 books like Die or Power Fantasy a month. Even doing just 2 of them is a bit of a stretch. Yeah. But I could perhaps do those 2 books and another 2 books of Marvel, because it's a different part of your brain. Yeah. I mean, it's it's the problem. It's the kind of the problem solving aspect. You come to me and say, "Hey, Kieran, make Eternals not bad, you know, and I go away and think, oh, how can we make Eternals not bad? You know what I mean? Or like, can you, that kind of problem solving job is really appealing. It's, you know, in some ways it's like the game part of you. Like you sit there and knock the ideas around and enjoy it in that way. But, you know, at the same time, I occasionally say things like, I don't think it's the work. And this is one of the things that really is annoying, especially to people who love them. Because I, you know, and I love doing this work, and I think I had great fun doing it. But if I had to burn all my Marvel books to even save one of my creator-owned books, I probably would.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of like,
I would
this
allow.
is what I got into. You know, this is the job. Even stuff which is like Journey to Mystery, Young Avengers, which are really important books to me. Like fundamentally big, shaping books, I would probably sacrifice over even like a minor one of my creator-owned books. I'm saying that, I'm not sure. I feel my kind of gut twitching. It's like, give up Ludicrats, save Young Avengers, or something. But like, there's not, and I say that, there's one of these creative things I kind of think of. You know, that kind of, what would Jack Kirby do? That's something I quite often say to myself. A lot of people have different answers to that question. And for me, what Jack Kirby would do is make something else new.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Like, so that's cut. So it's one of these, if I think, what would Jack Kirby do when I'm writing a Marvel book? I'd probably walk out the door. And I really enjoy when I do work for hire. You know, I'm probably gonna do a couple more work for hire things down the line. Yeah. But you do it because it's a bit of a giggle. You're the nanny, not the parent.
Yes.
And that's the kind of, I use the phrase emotional contraceptives. So you go into the job knowing you're gonna have to walk away from this baby because it's not your baby.
Yeah.
You know. So you love it with every, you know. And I don't do a book if I can't find a way to make myself care. That's the other side of it. Like, there's a lot of like you find devices to make yourself care, and if you don't, you're out the door. I think. And I'm lucky enough that I don't have to do stuff I don't want to do. You know, I'm an in-demand writer. People seem to like my stuff. And the older I get, the more I think about writing as being being a builder. It's like, or a plumber. It's a lot of laying pipe. You connect bits of narrative together, and if you do it right, poo doesn't end up on the floor. That's literally what storytelling is. There's a lot of just structure and craft. And like when I was younger, I used to think much more about the high art of it, which is important and beautiful. But like for me, the older I get, the more and it might just be wanting to feel connected to my roots of it, you know what I mean? But more just being able to look at myself and think, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like I know this connects to here, this connects to here. I know how to do my job in the same way that Jamie knows how to do perspective, or like, you know, just to, you know, it's not waving a wand. This is actually me sitting down and working out how something works because I've got learned skills that allow me to do it.
So then what comes first?
So it's a job, but a good job.
An idea and go to Marvel, hey, listen, I've got an idea for a character, or do they put out the branches and say, do you want to do an X-Men book or something?
Would be a bit of both.
For me, almost universally, I get asked. Like I have a broad rule as I do not think about other people's characters unless they've asked me to, because it's a waste of my time. You know what I mean? Like if I had an idea for, I don't know, Batman. Yeah. Like I could just publish my Batman story. It's like, so it's me working for them without being paid.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So, and of course it's impossible because you always have ideas, but I try not to. So like, it's almost, okay, every single Marvel job I've ever done, I think, has been them coming and saying, hey Kieran, have you got an idea for Beta Ray Bill? Hey Kieran, got an idea for Loki? Hey Kieran, you got an idea for Darth Vader? All of them is them coming to me. Like, I can't think of an exception.
We're not Star Wars people, but gotta mention Star Wars.
I don't mind. I love the Darth Vader run.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The one thing that we can say is that your run on Darth Vader is, and this is from a Star Wars nut who works here, is specifically the best Star Wars comic printed. So, well done.
Thank you. That pass on my love back. I really appreciate that. Not yet. People seem to like it. You know.
In fact,
I look surprised.
Just before coming on air, we discovered that we had 2 copies stolen.
Missing. Someone.
No, they're gone.
Online. Yeah.
They're gone.
It's been kept in print pretty well. The Darth Vader stuff, actually. Yeah, I think the Omni.
That one's the tricky one, I think.
Yeah. I think the Darth Vader stuff is, because this is one of the things I was aware at Marvel. The Darth Vader trade was selling much better than I think it was selling better than the Star Wars trades. Because it's because it offers something you don't get in the movies. That's in my head. It's like, here's something. The only way you can get Darth Vader is like this, and of course it sells more. You know, Marvel's keeping stuff in. Because, like, trust me, you could not get me more angry than Marvel's tendency to not stuff people in print. Literally, you know.
Yeah, as a shop.
Incredibly frustrating.
Yes.
But I hear, you know, I think they're aware of that now. Yeah, I really hope, you know, they will do better. Yeah, good. But, yeah, I think they're pretty good with Darth Vader, relatively speaking.
I don't know they are. Like, they kept it's 4 volumes, isn't it? Or 4 or 5?
4.
They kept 4 volumes singly in print for a very long time, and now they're doing the epic collections.
Oh, that's right. Because the Omni, I don't think you can get, but you can get.
You get the epics. So I ordered them thinking, no one's going to buy them because everyone's already read it in the first volumes. No, still finding new readers. I'm always fascinated by that. Like, hasn't everyone who wants to read these stories read them? But no, they just keep finding new readers.
I'll just angle my finger because I've been buying. Oh, I can't angle. It's to say, I've been buying the
compacts,
the DC compacts, just because they're lovely. Sorry, I think having never done anything at DC, that there was an element of frustration in terms of like, oh man, Journey into Mystery. That would be like a great little compact.
Wow, but I've noticed that Image have started doing little versions. They did the Paper Girls we just got, I think, is like they've done a little one of that. So I wonder if eventually you'll have a die compact.
The economics is going to be interesting. So I suspect that there are some things that could have leverage like that.
I'm torn between how they shrink the art. That is my issue, because there's some things like Die is a massive example of how beautiful the art is. I feel like when it's crushed down to a small size like that, it kind of ruins a bit of it.
Of course, the compendiums, I suppose the compendiums are like Image's more value propositions. I mean, they're bigger single unit price, but they're very value heavy. Yeah, after seeing how well the Walking Dead ones did, I think people are aware it's an option, so we had ourselves sort of planning on what to do, and we've put it out.
But the hardcovers of that was so good. Like, that's one of my favorite hardcovers I've got.
It's one of those situations where, like, the orders for 3 and 4 were quite lower. In terms, there must have been like a retailer crunch money, so that 3 and 4 were like gold dust. I did an auction for a charity thing, and like I sent one of my I've got a handful of 3 and 4s. Each of them went for 500 quid each. If it was ever a Wicked TV show, we'd probably reprint it then. Yeah, because we're not stupid.
So okay, now that you brought up Wicked and Divine, I'm going to let you two music nerds nerd out on music. What kind of music do you like?
Oh, don't start me. I hate music.
Because my question about it is really dumb. So you guys talk music.
Really?
Yeah, okay, I'll read it. So Phonogram and Wicked and Divine are both love letters to music. Is it hard to combine one passion that relies on ears and the other one that relies on eyes and make it work?
Yes. Next question.
Thank you. See?
No, it's not. This is a fundamental question for Wicked and Phonogram. In fact, like, it's even harder than just ears and eyes. Because in comics, you have control over... in music, you have control over time. Literally, in comics, you can only control time indirectly.
Yeah.
So they're absolute opposite mediums. And that's kind of what attracted me and Jamie to doing it. Well, not quite true. One of the reasons that attracted it, because by definition, it's impossible. So we're going to have to try to work out really cool stuff to make it work. So yes. Could we evoke music in a medium with no music in it? Was one of the technical challenges in both of the books. So it's not. I don't think it's a stupid question. It's absolutely fundamental to what we do.
Remy.
And the answer is yes. It's very hard.
Told you. Nice. So what's the best concert you've ever been to?
When you said that, suddenly I went to Mogwai in the Fleece and Firkin in '97, circa Young Team, when I had the steaming cold. It might have been flu, and I was slightly hallucinating. And they were playing like loud enough to attack the heavens, and I probably infected everybody, and was, whatever. Great gig. Maybe even like towards the back end of Phonogram, I was less of a live music person. I was increasingly just recording music. It's like leaving the houses. I'm lazy.
Yeah.
The idea of picking up a game controller, too much work. Leaving the house, too much work. I'm going to sit here and make people play board games with me. I think if you actually if anyone's read my stuff, you're pretty clear what the music I like, because I've put it all in the comic. Except occasionally I take the piss out of music I love, which is my other way of doing it. I remember being really mean to Sleater Kinney in the Phonogram. I love Sleater Kinney. I'm very mean to Belle and Sebastian. I love Belle and Sebastian. It took me years to realise it's somewhat depressing that of all the bands I've loved, all the real passionate, big, meaningful bands, the one who's given me most pleasure for most time was Belle and fucking Sebastian. Like this kind of like twee bedroom sad music, and I love it. Like, I genuinely have loved that. My wife walked down the altar to Belle and Sebastian. But like, actually something I'm doing for the Power Fantasy. I quite regularly write to soundtracks. Yeah. Like I build different playlists for different reasons.
Yeah.
With there's the Power Fantasy soundtrack, which is quite fun in different ways. But the weird thing I did with Power Fantasy was I would go to record shops.
Yep.
And I get vinyl. Like I buy old random vinyl.
Oh, there's so much of it.
Yeah. And I don't even try to get good stuff. I'm just trying to buy the cheapest stuff I can. And then I'm writing most of the Power Fantasy listening to period vinyl, which is just random. Like Count Basie plays the Beatles. Got that for, a quid.
Wow.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just
Phonogram.
partially is to sort of put my brain in a different space, but also partially just the physicality of, I'm going to go over, pick up this record, put this other one down, because the characters are doing that. It's a story set from 45 to 99, you know? And that's kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it's about record culture. So anything that puts me psychologically in that space is good. The Wicked playlist, I turned that into its virtue. Like, the Wicked playlist is like 500 songs long, and I listen to it on shuffle. And it's like a tarot deck. So all the songs are connected to different bits of the story, or different characters or different feelings. And by listening to it on shuffle and therefore getting them recombined, I'm thinking about the story from different angles. And that's, so when I do a playlist, it's quite regularly about ways to think about this book when I'm not writing. Like ways to trick my brain into doing a bit more work.
All right, so I got a couple fun questions. I hope they're fun. Apologies if they're not.
Yeah, he's not fun.
I'm better than you. Okay, have you ever looked back on a project and thought, oh, I could have done that better?
Always. I mean, like, that's the kind of, no one's ever satisfied with anything.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I guess it's like you get better too. So because you do more, you probably look back at stuff and go, I could have done this way now.
Like, there's an element of like, I don't think I've got it as bad as some people. Like, what you describe is entirely correct, and I definitely have it a bit. And something Jamie McKelvie, obviously my artist I work with on a bunch of books, my artist, he'll kill me for saying that.
You earn him. You earn him.
Sorry, Jamie. He said something mean to me earlier on the internet, so it's fair enough. Generally, when you're a critic or like an appreciative art form, your eye is better than your hand. So in other words, if you love music and you stop making music, your music is shit, and you know it's shit because you know about music. You know what good music sounds like, and you are not making good music. Therefore, but if you had lower and worse taste, maybe you'll be able to make, you know, you wouldn't have that problem. You know, in the same way, if you're an artist and you're drawing, there's a stage where you're dissatisfied with your work, and that's normally because your critical sense is higher than your art again. And he describes it as kind of like two layers, two lines on a graph kind of intersecting. Yeah. And I think that's true as a writer. You know, like that you're aware of your limitations at different times and stuff. I've done that again. Oh, I fluffed it. And I must admit, I've almost gone past the other side. Like, I'm aware the bits that mug me, are probably going to carry on mugging me because it's just what I do. You've done it again, Kieran. You made it way too complicated. you could have like removed 2 characters and had a nice, big, sensible, simple book. But no, you had to make about the history of RPGs again. You know what I mean? Well, at the same time, when you've had a career like mine and you've managed to have a house and eat, you can't complain too much. No. Yeah. Like, so because what makes you bad is also what makes you interesting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, there's lots, and it all intersects. You're always trying to be better, but you've got. I mean, the thing I most regularly say to myself is, I wish I was a better writer. I walk around kind of like compulsively saying it to myself quite regularly. Yeah. But like, wishes mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like, just not worrying too much is also it's absolutely paralyzing to worry about too much, because like there's definitely projects I look back and think the amount of work we put into that was not on the page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the hard. I mean, I was doing Iron Man, Marvel, which the book was cursed for various reasons, but it was coming out at the same time as Young Avengers. Young Avengers being this very well thought of sort of modern classic for Marvel. I said that with a straight face, and it was like one of like Wired's best books of the 2010s, I think.
Yeah.
So like, it was a critically acclaimed book, and Iron Man, which is a pretty acceptable Marvel comic. And we worked as hard on that effing book in lots of different ways. It just didn't reach the page. And that's what happens. Occasionally, something doesn't pay you back for what you put into it.
So then, on the flip side, have you ever done a book and gone, "Yeah, nailed it"?
I kind of like. There's the best thing of being a writer, like, is the just the moment you kind of feel like God, and you know you've written something that's really good. Like, like genuinely you sit there and you're hammering it out like this, like that excitable dog meme. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, this is exactly it. This is on fire, and you're very much aware that stuff is coming through you, powerful. Funny. And the problem, of course, being a professional writer means you have to do that. You need to write on days when you don't feel like that. Yeah. It's a job, because anyone can write when they're inspired. That's what being inspired means.
Yes.
It's a job because I could be good when I'm not. I could like get myself into that mind space, and like I could at least I could do the job is the word. Yeah. And we return to the plumber metaphor earlier. So yeah, quite a regular. I look at that. I think that was pretty cool. No, honestly, there's bits like the thing in comics, you could feel less arrogant at that because it's not, especially if you're just a writer.
Yeah.
Like I can look at an issue of Wictive and think, "Oh man, we killed it here," but because it's the we. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
One of the addictive thing about comics is you could write a script, you give it to someone, let's say Jamie or Casper or Stephanie, and they give it you back, and you are the audience for your own gig. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't mine anymore. You know, it's kind of like I'm in the audience for my own work, so I get to see. So there's a bit of distance there that makes it not mine, whilst also being mine. You know what I mean? So I can actually be a bit more like, yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Because you're not there for the whole process. You've got to go away and then come back and
Well,
see.
it's like they're bringing it to life almost.
Yeah. And making it different to yours. And occasionally you get, I mean, writers regularly talk about, oh, they came back and it's much better than I ever imagined. But that's true. It quite regularly is. And occasionally it comes back and it's much worse.
Oh.
And we don't talk about that because that's, you know, why would you? Because artists would murder you. But that's you know, things don't always work.
No.
You know. But sometimes they're okay. And then here's another thing of blowing your mind. When I'm teaching comics, I sort of say all comics are dubbed. Like I get the script back and I can change every line of dialogue on a piece of art.
Yeah.
After I've seen the thing. See, I'm constantly reworking scripts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I draw it, pages come back, I rewrite the script, gets lettered, maybe something else gets tweaked. You know what I mean? So like, it's never me just writing a script and going away and having a cigarette. Mainly because I don't smoke.
Yeah.
And even if you could know maybe some stuff you could have done better, even something like Wictive, that was 51 issues. There's definitely some places there I think, oh, I bottled that issue was wrong. Me and Jamie can quite happily go through. Actually, it's funny more with Phonogram. Like we flicked through the first Phonogram, and me and Jamie just sort of go, "Oh, nice panel there, Jamie. Didn't think about leaving room for the words, did you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Jamie or me dunking on myself, and I just thought maybe 500 words in this blue. I thought that was a good idea, you know. Or like, let you know all that because it's. But at the same time, it's Phonogram. You know, this is me and Jamie in the basement tapes in the basement jamming out loudly.
Yeah.
Desperate to be alive. You know what I mean? Like I can look at that and still see two really hungry creators trying as hard as they could, which gives it a certain energy. Overall, I'm proud of what I've done. I could definitely pick holes in it, but I know that's brain deaf. Anyway, other people will pick holes in it. I don't need me to do it.
Yeah, you don't need to.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
And I already know it. That's actually Jamie always says this, that critics. I mean, I used to be a critic, so I'm very pro-critic. But mostly critics will either tell you something you already know, as you know what's wrong with that. You know that the pacing was wrong. You know that, yes, I would have loved to have another 3 pages. I didn't have 3 pages.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, or they tell you, so that's one side, stuff you already know. Or stuff that about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll say there's a caveat to that. For me, there's like less than 1% of the things people write about me online, way less than 1%. It's something actually astute and interesting, which I had not thought of. You know?
Yeah.
It's incredibly small. I don't mean that as bad. I don't mean like that because I'd say it's not what it's for, but occasionally get something. I always remember like Colin writes about comics. Too busy talking about my comics guy, and he wrote a load about First Phonogram, like a load of it. And he kind of completely nailed it. It's about how little pleasure people have in listening to music in that first Phonogram. Ahedonia, you know, depression. And I hadn't really thought about it like that. And that's 100% true. This is a book writing about people who are fundamentally burnt out on art form they profess to love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, of course, is really about where I was then. You know, because that's interesting, because the truths about yourself are the things you miss, in my experience, unless you're really conscious, which I mostly am.
So, okay, you're talking a lot about Jamie. Is he your best friend?
Well, he owns it.
I have no friends.
Oh, that's sad. Oh.
Jamie, my work wife. That kind of that was the way we used to describe it. Me and Jamie as like work husband and wife, or work wife and wife. I think it's much more of a lesbian couple. I would say, Joe, it's so weird. Like we're just a couple of like intense weirdos who lived in each other's pockets. So it's kind of really nice that we kind of and so much of the fact that our journey together, like we came in together, and then we did this. We did a variety of books, then we did this big successful project together, and then we died and we went to sleep for a long time, and we'll never work together again. But like, so much of our journey into comics is just each other. So all the stories I have to say, all those formative stories, are me and Jamie, and stuff we've said and stuff we, you know, when you've been in the Beatles together with somebody, you've always been in the Beatles.
Yes.
Like all the stories I would tell would be of me and Jamie. because they're the cool ones. And he's a smart guy. We speak like most days mainly about Warhammer.
Actually,
Actually,
I've got a question then.
Jamie's not a Warhammer guy. Actually, he's more of miniatures broadly, or like anime robots.
Oh really?
So like we talk about modeling stuff.
Yeah,
you two should be best friends. Like music, modeling.
it's a big thing.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it? I've got my tapes and scrap up here on the right. You see,
Like Gundams and stuff.
No,
yeah, that's Jamie. Jamie's a Gundam guy.
yeah,
Okay.
see, that's where I'll be with that.
Yeah. All right, so you can only get rid of one, music or games, and I'm going to lump board games and video games together for this because
I don't say all games count as like for me. Games are one art form, therefore I'd have to get them all out.
Gotta get rid of one.
I mean, I'm a big fan of answering questions as they're asked, as opposed to cheating. But the cheat answer is, man, you can never destroy games or music. They live in people's hearts and they will always return.
No.
But, but yes, that's the correct. I think I would have to destroy games, actually. And I say that.
You son of a bitch.
I think I'm the same.
It's that kind of, because I think one of the things what music does is,
Yeah.
no, music is
He's on the
I can't remember what the quote is.
Look at this.
That's my brain right now.
Yeah.
There's a Novalis quote, I think it is, and it's it might be Novalis, it might be somebody else. Music is the art form all of the art forms aspire to, and the idea that music moves without meaning, as in music is just a series of sounds that basically shortcut circuits something in our brains and makes us feel something. And there's not really a good explanation. Essentially, it's neurological hacking by honking noises. It's just hacking. Yeah. Like there's actually, if you read the great book Music-infused by Oliver Sacks, which is basically about people with problems with how music interacts with the brain, and these people who are amusica, I think it is, and they can't hear music, as in they just hear it's honking and banging. Yeah. So they go to like concerts.
That's me. Oh,
literally, but you can't understand it.
Okay.
It's not even tone deaf, it's much more than that. It's just the fact that music sounds like a siren. Because you can't understand the concept of musicality, which is fascinating.
Fine then, they'd pick music. There's games they could.
Yeah, exactly. They would get rid. It's just annoying.
I think bands laughing at concerts because I can't do it in time with everyone else.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Games are normally a way of organising and seeing the world and also interacting with people. Yeah, so it's a way of like, it's like I would get rid of painting before I got rid of music. You know what I mean? In the same way, games are like a way of seeing, whilst music is much more something spiritual and immaterial and that kind of thing. So I'd be forced to do that. And also, I think more people like music than games. So I'd like to, I'll protect more people.
You heard it here, folks. He killed Mario.
Yep, definitely kill Mario. So if you have choice of killing Mario,
there's hate.
I wouldn't.
All right, Elden Ring. Elden Ring.
Okay, you got to remember the sort of critic I was. I was a sacred cow killing kind of guy. So I took great pleasure in like just really shitting on Zelda. Good game, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's all. Do you read comics?
No, I've actually been. If you read the Power Fantasy, I'll be doing these review columns in the back. Like I do capsule reviews to all the image books, all the new image books.
Yeah.
And there you can run it in house ads because one of the things that Image. I was chatting to Eric when I just started the Power Fantasy. It's weird that image books don't run house ads as much anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because I think so much of all are trying to basically, I know I certainly was, creating a single issue world that people could lose themselves in. And of course, that really does mean you're alone. You make these hermetically sealed universes and you're trapped. And I found myself thinking, no, I should support other books. And of course, being an ex-critic made me think, I know, I'll actually do some plugs. So like I've been getting the PDFs of all the image books and reading as many as I can.
Yeah.
And doing these plugs and allowing other people to run them. So I'm actually more on top of a lot of books than I have been, especially Image. And I'm also really slutty with quotes. So people send me PDFs because I regularly will just, say something online. Last really good thing was... what's it? The Dead and the Dying? That's really, really, really good. Yeah. Oh my God. Genuinely disturbing in a way that got under my skin. The New Criminal is great. Actually, I wrote an RPG in the New Criminal special. Criminal's never not good.
Yeah.
Spectators?
Do one bad book, Brubaker.
He can't.
He just can't.
It's lucky he's just a really bad person though, which is
Yeah.
probably for the good side.
It's just writing.
Sorry, Ed. The Spectators. Have you read Spectators yet? The Spectators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Brian K. Vaughan and Nicole Henderson.
Oh yeah. That was the straight to hardcover. Yeah. I've got it to read. I haven't read it yet.
Like really unusual. Like it's one of those bits where like a bit lots of sex, lots of violence, meditative, weird in a very low and also sort of slice of life way. Also pointed. Really and good on sex. Like what I feel about Brian is he's like sex is a really hard thing for writers to be good at. It's normally a bit embarrassing. It's like watching, you know. Brian's always been good at sex. I always remembered like reading Why the Last Man and hitting the 4th volume, which is the S&M volume, and that would have been such an easy volume to do crap. And I found myself like Brian nailed this in terms of like no pun intended. Brian nails sex. Well done, Brian. You know what I mean?
Quite.
What do you tell people you do for a living?
I try to dodge it mainly. I mean, I say I'm a writer. And then I say, actually, I'm not. I just say I'm a comic writer. I'm a bit casual about it now. In that, it's more like I avoid it because I can't be bothered talking about it mostly. Yeah. It's the sort of thing that it leads to a lot of questions.
Oh yeah.
Because like most people don't have a job as quote unquote interesting as mine, and by which I mean it's like, that's what A, they don't know anything about it, so they would go, "What's that mean?" B, B, when I say I've written stuff for Marvel, which is I'll be talking about Iron Man a bunch. And all these things are fine and make day-to-day conversation, but it's kind of a dead-end conversation because they don't really get something from it, I guess, and you don't really get to know them. So it's that sort of conversation which is more about me, and it's not even about me; it's about stuff I have seen. So it doesn't really get you close to people. So it's like I'm very happy to have the conversation, but it's also not something I prioritize. I'm more likely to ask questions about you.
Exactly the same.
Well, and it's like, I don't know if you get this, but when when we say, I work at a comic shop, they think you're in a clown outfit and it's only for kids.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
do with that, buddy.
Yeah. Like,
job. There's a lot of that.
I was like, I've got friends who are comedians. So I do like the mistaken use of the word comic and comic. I'm a comic, not that comic. It's.
I got you.
Oh yeah, true.
But do you ever pull out the "Do you know who I am"?
Yeah. Have I ever done that? Only around the house, ironically. I mostly don't.
Oh, I just pictured you at a lineup for a gig and you didn't have a ticket, and you're like, "Do you know who I am?"
No, I think it's more someone arguing with him about Eternals or something.
Oh yeah, true.
Know who I am?
But then
No, I'm embarrassingly English in my approach to most of that stuff. In that kind of like, I can't possibly make a mess with that mess. I once won a bet with Rick Remender over whether There She Goes was a cover or not. I won $20 off him.
No, there you go.
He bet against me. Foolish. Never bet against the man who wrote a literal comic about Britpop.
What an idiot. So don't name names unless you
Sorry, Rick.
Want to, but don't. Do you have an industry nemesis?
Nah. But I was talking about one of my friends recently about but they had a nemesis, but they're not in comics, and I thought, I'm quite jealous. But no, like I more think that I'm a big Labrador. I have the problem of basically liking people, even my enemies, people who abstractly hate me. I'm basically, are you okay? Because I'm a big sap. I'm a big sap like that. I can't think of anyone I've got a nemesis. There's certainly some people I think are poisonous in the industry. But that's not like a nemesis. They're just people I think are problems.
Yeah.
Which is not like a personal they must fall or I must die.
Yeah.
I mostly I'm aware. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a nemesis?
Sort of customer one sometimes, but yeah. We won't obviously name names, but there's a couple of people. I don't know if it's a nemesis. It's just that one person that'll always rub you off the wrong way.
Will it?
Yeah.
Not in that way, you dirty prick.
Now, what's the first comic you ever remember reading?
This is a tricky question. Like I've tried to done some math for this. It's either an X-Men comic. Is it Goldbug, the one where basically Xavier and Magneto are like sort of swingers in the 60s with some Nazis? That one. Yeah. Because I must have read that way too young randomly. But I don't think it can be that. It might be an episode of The Bruins. Do you know The Bruins? The Bruins were Scottish, like, my mum's Scottish. So one of my earliest holiday memories was going up to Scotland to see her auntie. So up to Dunfermline, in this village up there. And I remember reading the Bruins up there, and the Bruins is just basically, it's written in Scottish dialect almost. So it's kind of like, a bit like Train Spotting for kids. So I'm reading this comic, and I never knew at the time, but it was set in the 60s. Like, it was the most of the Bruins are done in the 60s. But it's just like reading like this fantasy world of like working class life in Scotland and people sitting on buckets and like glue that was made out of looked like chocolate cubes, and reading it, and it's broad, you know, there's a lot of language in it. So I remember reading that and going, what on earth's going on?
But he's new to comics.
And I write those comics now.
Yeah, that's weird. See, I've been reading comics since I was like little. Like my first one was a Ninja Turtles animated series comic. But then in Australia, they had a promotion over the summertime where if you bought a Slurpee, you got a free comic. And the comics was X-Men Fatal Attraction storyline, even with the holograms and everything. Well, I drank a lot of Slurpees that summer, but that's what got me hooked. But he's new. I only introduced him to comics like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. No, it's great. Now I've got shelves like you in the back too.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I read like him as a kid and a little bit as a teen. I mean, my brother was carried on reading 2000 AD, but I only got into comics properly in my 20s. You know, like, so I was a late convert as well. In that I was 25 when I started going to comic shops regularly. I was like 1 or 2 trades a year from about 21. But like, you know, coming in at 25 and suddenly realising this record shops exist. Like, I've listened to a few music, I've listened to a couple of pop signals, but now I've just got, there's 100 years of this stuff to buy.
So, as the winners of the Image Retail Awards, our prize was we got to pick any comic in the world to get 250 exclusive covers done and to sell off and all that kind of stuff. So we chose Die Loaded as our comic. So what we're going to do is that for the first 200 people that buy anything that Kieron has done, you're going to get a free copy because everyone should be reading this book. And then we're going to keep 50 for the internationals. So if you want to get a copy in your international, there will be some there for you as well, because we want you to read this book. Except for the Americans, by the way, because we can't send anything to America at the moment.
Yep.
So.
It's not laugh. It's awful. The world situation not good. So that's what I call understatement.
Oh,
yeah,
it's so bad. But that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honestly, in fact, it's been really delightful. It's a lovely way to end the month. This feels like a Sunday night for me. It feels much more mellow. So like, it's been absolutely delightful, and I'm looking forward to going to bed, and hopefully my daughter will allow me to carry on sleeping.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for joining.
Thank you.